Good morning. We're holding Parshas Vayeshev in Torah Ohr, page 52, the beginning of the Mimer. Beginning of the Parsha starts off, Vayeshev Yaakov Eretz Meguri Aviv. Yaakov was away from his house, from his parents for over 20 years. And the Torah describes how Yaakov now returned to the place where he was brought up. And the pasuk says, "Vayeshev Yaakov Eretz Meguri Aviv." Yaakov returned to the land of his father, Eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, in the land of Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe asks, "Lahavan inyan zeh," to understand this whole idea, Ruchnius. What does it mean, Yaakov returning to Eretz Yisrael? Gam kefel loshin ba'aretz, Meguri Aviv be'eretz Canaan. We have to understand the double expression of the land of his father, the land of Canaan. In other words, everybody knew that Yitzchak is in Canaan. So why does the Torah have to tell us Be'eretz Canaan? Just say Vayeshev Yaakov Be'eretz Meguri Aviv. We know Yitzchak is in Canaan. So he says, it says, "Es alech lefnei Hashem ba'artzois hachayim." David HaMelech says, "I walk in front of Hashem in the lands of Chaim, in the land of life." So he says, "Sheishnei arotzis." There are two lands. Shein beis pchinas kelim, la'ashra is Chaim al yenim. There are two lands which are like two vessels, two containers, in order to have the Chaim al yenim, which we're going to explain exactly what Chaim Yenim means. So he says in the brackets, just like Chaim, life is plural, so too lands are also plural. So we have to understand, what does this mean? David HaMelech is walking in the lands of life. What are the two lands, the two vessels that bring Chaim Yenim? So the Alter Rebbe starts off and says like this: "Ubir, you need to understand this whole idea. Why do we call Eretz Yisrael the land of Canaan? Anytime in Torah that we refer to Eretz Yisrael, we call it the land of Canaan. The question is why. And he says even more so: Cham hu avi Canaan. Cham was the father of Canaan. Cham was from all the sons, he was the most corrupt. How are you praising Eretz Yisrael by saying that it's the land of Canaan? Who was Canaan? Canaan was the son of Cham. It's not. If you want to bring out the yichus of Eretz Yisrael, you can find a lot of other milas. What are you saying? That it's the land of Canaan. Who was Canaan? The son of Cham. It's not very. It's not a lot of yichus saying that this is how we refer to Eretz Yisrael. We refer to as he's the son of Cham. Gam lahavim mashakos of Canaan biyodim ozni mirma. We have to understand also what the pasuk says, that Canaan refers to the merchant. The merchant in his hand is using scales of deceitfulness, of trickery. Gam mashakosov, also what the pasuk says, there was not going to be a merchant in the house of Hashem on that day. So we have to understand all these psukim. The Alter Rebbe is quoting psukim as like we're supposed to know exactly what each pasuk means. But he says like this: We know that the entire Torah is, whenever the Torah refers to something, let's say in Klippa, the same thing is in Kedusha. Just like you have Lavan and Esav, the Klippa, and you have Echein Sarah Tabachim, Sarah Mashkim, you have the whole story of the butcher and the butler, Sarah Eifim, and the baker. So you have the physical story. You have also the story the way it is in Klippa. Kach yesh kol ela kol pchinas elu shebekdusha. You have also these levels in kedusha. You have the level of Esav, Lavan. You have the level of Sar Tabachim, Sar Mashkim. You have all these levels in kedusha. Why? Kizelu mazeh asalikim. Whatever Hashem made, the pasuk says, whatever Hashem made in kedusha, there is in klippa, and whatever there is in klippa also is in kedusha. So Alter Rebbe says, "V'hinei shloisha b'nei ne'achim l'maylo b'kedusha gimel pchinas gavnei keshes." The three sons of Neach l'mayla, in other words, in kedusha, are the three colors of a rainbow. What are the three colors of a rainbow? Chivar, white, sumek is red, and yara, green. So the three sons of Neach come from the three levels of a rainbow. Ella, but because there was like a seder hishtalshlus, and there was a nefila from one level to another level, what happened? Nasa chom gashmi avikanan. Chom became, there was a physical chom who came the father of Canaan. So, but really, where does the three sons of Neach come from? The spiritual level of the three sons are very high level. They're the levels of the rainbow. And in a rainbow, we know a rainbow is comprised of white and red and green. But because through Seder Hishtalshlus, what happened became a physical chum, and the chum eventually had Canaan.
How does the rainbow have to do with being good?
Yeah. Well, the source of the rainbow is colorful. It's chosen something spiritually, chosen something high. So the Rebbe says like this. So we're saying like this, that in Canaan you have like this. You have the Kedusha and you have the Klippa. So the Klippa, who's Canaan is the son of Chum. But in Kedusha, you also have, there's a level of Canaan. So the Rebbe says, in Canaan b'Kedusha, to understand the level of Canaan. In Kedusha, Canaan pidusha seicher. What does the word Canaan mean? Canaan means a merchant, somebody who's in business. Mashikasa, as the pasuk says, Knaaneha, the merchants, nichbet aretz, are the honor of the land. Uksiv, it says, we brought this pasuk already, Canaan biyadim ozni mirma. That Canaan, the merchant, in his hand, he has scales which are deceitfulness. So the Rebbe says an example, just like a merchant, just like somebody in business. He spends money, and he spends gold and silver, and he, so to speak, empties his bank account. Why? In order to make money. In order to make money, you gotta spend money. Now, what's the reason why the guy spends money? Is because he wants to make more money. So, just like a businessman spends money to make money, so too the source of all the souls of the Jews, which we know the source of the neshama of a yid comes from Knesset Yisrael, is the level of Knesset Yisrael. Nimshala begolus l'seicher zeh. The soul, the neshama, is compared to a merchant. Kidiksiv, as Yitzchak tells Esav about Yaakov, ba achicha b'mirma, that your brother came b'mirma. Rashi says over there b'chachma, v'yikach b'rchasech, and he took your brachas. He says, the pasuk says, this, the time that a man rules a man, it's going to be bad for him. So he explains, through the Shechina, manifesting itself into Golus, to give hashpa to the Klippa, so through that, the nutzutzas, the sparks of Kedusha that are trapped in Klippa, are refined. Moshe Razal, like the Gemara in Pesachim says, that legol Yisrael ela lohisav aleim. It says that the reason why Hashem spread the Jews out in Golos is in order to make more converts, more Gerim. Liyos bilam oves, because eventually the Vesruach HaTuma Avar min Haaretz, that the world is going to be eradicated from the Tumah. V'nigla kved Hashem ki ayin b'ayin yudo. So he's saying like this, that the Shama is compared to a merchant. Just like a merchant, he like risks his money in order to make more money. And not necessarily through a business deal, a person will be successful. If you want to be successful, keep your money in the bank and just don't do anything. But if you want to make more money, you have to risk. You have to spend money, make money. You have to buy merchandise. Hopefully that merchandise will be successful. So the same thing, the neshama, I thought that I was going to explain soon, comes from a very high level. So what's the point of why risk the neshama coming down here and maybe being successful, maybe not being successful? So he says, just like a businessman risks his money to make money, and a neshama comes down over here, it's a risk, but the purpose is to attain even a higher level. So he says that the Shechina is mislabish in the Shechina is mislabish in the Klippa in order to be mevar, to refine the nitzutzos of Kedusha that are trapped in there. And the ultimate will be when Mashiach comes. So he says, we're holding this, and those who came out 52, the second paragraph, the line starts with Yiro. It's like 4 lines. Kumai. The third word on the line. So just like we say, this is in general in the world, that the Shechina comes into Klippa in order to be Mavar. So too, in the specifics of the neshama of a yid in Avodas Hashem. So he says, before the neshama came down into this world to enclose itself in a body, and the vital soul, before the neshama came down over here, it was one with the source of the emanator that had a burning fire. Ava b'teva yishal had a burning innate fire to go up and be one with Hashem. And it had a natural love and fear to Hashem. Which the neshama had the level of kesef, of gold, silver, and gold. He says, what does it mean that the neshama had the level of kesef and zav? Kesef miloshin. What is kesef? Kesef, which is silver, is miloshin nichsoif nichsafta, like a burning desire. So the neshama had kesef and zav beforehand, which means kesef refers to that it had a burning love for Hashem. Zav, mitzvah and yasa, the pasuk says that the gold comes from the north. Shu b'chinas smeil, which is the level of left. Shu b'chinas yira, which is the level of fear. So the neshama had gold and silver beforehand. It had a love and a fear to Hashem. So why in the world would the neshama risk itself, or the Hashem force the neshama to come down into the body? So afterwards, when the neshama came down and it clothed itself into this body, and so when the neshama enclosed itself in a body, it's so this av and yira that it naturally has or had when it was l'mayla is covered up. It's covered up by the coarseness of the body. And it's not possible for it to see the love and the fear. It's not possible for it to be in a revealed way, the way it was in the beginning. So it comes out that you're diminishing the Av and Yira the way it was before. Imkain, Alter Rebbe asks a very famous question. So why in the world when the neshama come down if it's a very great descent and a very great risk? So he says, what does the pasuk say? It says that toiv li, it's good to me, the Torah of your mouth, and it's worth more to me than all the thousands of gold and silver in the world. The Alter Rebbe touches up. What does alfei mean? Alfei is lashon limud. Alfei, alufei, like we say, alavcha chachma, alavcha bina. Alfei always refers to Torah, like somebody who's a master. Like in Hebrew, when you want to say the guy is a master, you say, "Oh, he's aluf. He's a master. He's a professional." So when we say Tevli Teras Picha Ma'alfi Zav Chesed, Alter Rebbe touches up that there's a certain advantage of the Torah in this world. Then more than when the neshama had the zav and kesef before it came down over here. So Alter Rebbe says very nicely. Tevli Teras Picha Ma'alfi Zav Chesed means that Tevli Teras Picha, the Torah in this world, is greater than Ma'alfi Zav Chesed from when the Torah, when the neshama was learning, and it was in a state of Zav Chesed. Now, why is the Torah greater in this world? So Alter Rebbe says, we brought this many times. Right? 1 hour and 1 moment of tshuva in this world is greater than we call Chai Elam Haba. Why? Through a person, through the level of tshuva, the higher level of tshuva, from the depthness of the heart, through the level of tshuva, in the depthness of the heart, the neshama is going to be cleaved one with Hashem, higher than the level of Rus the Liba, like we're going to explain. Even though we're holding Daf Chav Zayin, top line, even though that there's a certain disadvantage and the fear and the love of the external fear and love is not there, nevertheless, there's going to be an advantage when the neshama comes down over here, mitzad the pintelayid, like the advantage of light over darkness. And we're going to explain exactly what advantage that is. To explain this, it says, Ani Rishain, Hashem says, I am first, Vani Acharon, and I am last. When we baladai, and without me, in Elikim, there's no God. What does that mean? Pidish, we say, Ani Hashem Leishanisi, I am Hashem who never changes. Atu, when we say davening, Atu Kedim Shinivra, you are Hashem before the world was created. V'chuli bli shum shinoi, without any change. Hashem didn't, just because Hashem created the world, Hashem didn't change who Hashem is. Because the higher worlds and the lower worlds really are not tefis makom by Hashem. They don't take up any room. And we know everything is like it's considered nothing compared to Hashem. So he says, what does it mean? He's going to touch up like this. What does it mean? Umi baladai ein elikim. Umi baladai. What does it mean without you? Without umi baladai, without you and elikim. What does that mean? Pirish mashu zulas prinazu. This that we see, that there is something kiviyachol outside of Hashem, the hainu. This that we see that there's something called time. That we see that there's a world, that there's time in the world and there's space in the world. There's nothing besides Hashem. That this comes from the level of Elikim and Melech. Like it says, and without you, Hashem, who redeems us, that the entire worlds, all are all created from the level of Malchus. Like we say, that you are the king of all the worlds, and only there could even the highest worlds and the lower worlds are able to have some grasp. That's only from the level of Malchus. But Hashem lays machshavat tfisa bay. There is nobody who can really grasp the essence of Hashem. Why? It's higher than any understanding, and it's not enclosed, it's not grasped in this world at all. Not in a way of memali, not in a way of encompassing. So, how could you get the essence of Hashem? Only the pintalei, the heart, that can get the essence of Hashem. But in regards to actual understanding, that's impossible to understand. The only understanding we have is the level of Malchus, which is the lowest level. Like it says, from the depths I call out to you, Hashem, because from the pintalei, from the Rus the Liba, the level of this is one that comes from it. And Yasim Elav Libai, if a person will contemplate in his mind or in his heart, and no machshava could really grasp the essence of Hashem, and it's higher than any understanding. Even the level, even Chachmei can't even grasp the essence of Hashem. So once a person contemplates that even the highest level of understanding, you're really only getting the level of Malchus, a person is going to cleave and going to want and desire to be one with Hashem. To go out of the entrapment of the body, and to become cleaved and to become one with Hashem. However, before the neshama comes down into this body, the love and the cleaving of the neshama was in its source. So basically, we're asking, what was the purpose of why the neshama would come down over here? Why would you take such a risk? So the answer is just like a businessman spends money, and every time he spends money, he's risking his money to make more money. The neshama comes down into this body, into this world, in order to attain the level of the essence of the Rusa de Liba. Because before the neshama comes down over here, it's impossible. Yes, the neshama had an ava. Yes, the neshama had a yira, and you could see that ava and yira in a very, very revealed way, in a very clear way. But nevertheless, it's the fi'erach is hasaga. The most, based on what the neshama understands, is how much the neshama will love. Based on how much the neshama understands, is how much the neshama will fear. But if, in order for the neshama to get the essence of this, the rus of the liba, to get the essence, not only the level of malchus, that the neshama has to come down over here. Say there, okay. We'll continue Thursday.
I said something here.